Hey folks, so this is lessons from a re-applicant. So to the interns and stuff who are reapplying a second time after choking in the match during their fourth year of med school, after soaping into a program that they now hate. First piece of advice, if you have thoughts of leaving your program, your thoughts are illegal. You have to be in that program for 45 days and you're not allowed to think about, discuss, interview for, apply for, or look for other jobs in that time period. So know your rules and don't think anything illegal. All right, so you're going to reapply to residency. You started in July. Your application is due like 3 or 4 months later. Yeah, I mean, you have to be on point. You have to scramble. You don't have time to mess around. So, the first lesson, first thing for me is I was unwilling to soap a second time, to go unmatch a second time. So, you got to get on it. You got to hustle. Leave no stone unturned. It's time for you to play, okay? It's time for you to push up. And you know uniquely what that means for you, but it means trying your best, okay? So, things I did. You got to shake hands. You got to meet people. You got to connect. Charge nurse, co-interns, co-residents, seniors, chiefs, attendings, coordinator, program director. You got to go meet them. No, you're on your own. Okay, you are on your own until you're not. You're on your own until you rally support. That's the next one. You gotta rally your people around you. Okay, reach out to your med school. Reach out to every professor who's taught you in year 1 and 2. Every clerkship attending who you've worked with, everyone who's wrote you a good review, written you a good review or a decent review. You're gonna email them. Hey, I'm reapplying. Do you know anyone at this other program? Is there anything you can do to help me? Would you be willing to write me a strong letter? Do you have any contacts here? Do you have any advice? Would you be willing to mock interview me if they're in the specialty you're applying to? Do you have any feedback from my performance during the clerkship? Anything that I did that you think I should change? You need to connect, you need to rally support. Okay? The other thing is you need to coordinate with your service. At my program, the rule was if I had a 4 hour interview, then I could do that 4 hour interview, like a virtual one. If I did 3 of those and I gave up a vacation day. Can you imagine? So I could be on trauma service, get there at 5 a.m., do a 4 hour interview from 10 to 2, stay till 6 p.m. During that time, my co-interns are covering for me. So the next day, I have to work a little extra to cover for them to make up for it. And then if three of those 4 hour segments go by in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks or in a month, I lose a vacation day. So what did I quickly realize? I need to coordinate with my service in a way where I'm not getting screwed by losing vacation days because I'm interviewing. So you need to talk to your chief. Hey, is there a time when you can go do without me for a few hours, without me having to make it up? You should really try to find cross coverage internally without messing with your coordinators. Now that brings me to the next point. You got to know the policy and you have to connect with the coordinators. You have to know what your program is willing to do for you. Are they willing to let you off so you can interview, or do you have to take vacation? Are they willing to accommodate you leaving early one day for something? Are they willing to accommodate you with a letter or with reaching out to programs on your behalf? You have to rally them as much as possible and know where they stand. Where are they going to help you? Maybe some of them have a policy of like, we only have a dean's letter for some people, or we interview everybody after 2 or 3 rotations and see where they stand, or we don't interview or we don't take from our own prelims. So you need to know that stuff, okay? Another thing is now, unfortunately, you're an intern, you're reapplying, and so you still have to balance the intern obligations. You have to make an impression. In any specialty, internal medicine, surgery, transitional year, whatever, you make an impression obviously by having knowledge of the patients, preparing for the cases, knowing how to suture, how to close, being a good intern. And all that stuff takes work and prep, and I encourage you to do that as much as you can. But you kind of have to, you don't have time like any regular categorical because you're doing so many other things in the background, applying on ERAS, overhauling your entire application, reaching out to programs, rallying support, all this other stuff. You're honestly at a disadvantage. And the only way not to not burn out is to make an impression the easy way. There are things you can do to make an impression that don't require work. I'll tell you them. Like having good character, like being reliable, being honest, communicating with your attending. Okay, trying to uh, build and put forth the effort for sincere small talk, getting to know your attendings when there's downtime in the OR, when you're washing their hands, when they're gloving, when they're gowning, when they're draping, chatting with them, talking to them, and telling them about your situation. Hey, I'm so happy that I'm here. This is such a great opportunity. I didn't match the first time. I'm looking to reapply to these two specialties. And guess what? People like to help. And guess what? That attending, that program director, more than once. Hey, I didn't match either the first time. Actually, I didn't even get into med school the first time. Can you believe it? And it helps you to build your confidence, to normalize not matching. It's a lot more common than you think. But it also helps someone to relate to you, to just tell them the truth about who you are, be yourself. And maybe the fact that you're into some esoteric thing, maybe they're into that same thing, or maybe they find interesting about you, or maybe you're into whatever, regular, common things. I'm not going to list anything because I don't want to judge anybody. I don't want to assume what you're interested in. But, you have to relate, you have to connect. The other thing is you can't burn out because you have to be redlining until the rank order list is in, I think. Some people might say until you match, but I think until the rank order list is in, you basically have to be redlining. So you have to try your best to utilize your downtime and to not put in effort in places where you're not going to get any fruits. Okay? Now, your ERAS application. You cannot use the same ERAS application a second time. Okay? That's literally the definition of insanity. Trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Okay? So, you need to overhaul your application. So, what does this mean? Your whole ERAS application needs to be proofread by someone else. Okay? Your personal statement needs to be proofread by someone else. If you're applying to radiology, radiologist. Orthopedic surgery, orthopedist, etc. Okay? You can't send your neurosurgery application to your pediatric attending from clerkship and tell them, hey, can you look at my personal statement? All right? The other thing is, this is like the biggest piece of advice. I mean, if you're not doing this the second time around, then I don't know what's going on with you, but you have to apply broadly. Okay? You need to put away your ego and saying, I'm only willing to match in New York City, or I'm only willing to match in Miami. And you have to apply to every single program in the country. Okay? And you have to reach out to every single program that you apply to as much as possible. This is a challenge for sure, but when I was in the beginning of my internal medicine rotation in September, luckily I had clinic, I had some downtime. I just had a list of every single program I applied to on ERAS. I think I probably applied to, so I got 17 radiology interviews. I got 3 orthopedic interviews. For ortho, I didn't apply as broadly the second time. For radiology, I applied to every single program except Harvard, Yale, Cornell, Stanford. Programs that I knew I was not going to get into, and it was just going to be a waste of $35. All of these programs, even the low tier ones, community care and whatever, some random place in Michigan or Illinois or suburbs, I emailed the program director and I emailed the coordinator and I said, hi, my name is this. I'm doing this prelim here. I'm super interested in your program. I looked through the website and I copy paste. I had a template and I would copy paste 2 or 3 of the sites where they rotated at, something about their curriculum, and then something about the city, and I would send that email off. Once you have a good template, it takes you like 2 minutes for each email. So if you're applying to like 180 places, well, that's obviously going to take some time, a few hours a day. And I reached out to every single program. And probably I got 1 out of 10 responded back to me. And I think maybe it helped me get 3 or 4 interviews. Maybe. I don't know. There's just no way to know, obviously. Okay? But you have to leave no stone unturned, which means you have to reach out to every program. You have to rally support. You have to rally your school, your mentors, your current program. You have to make an impression, like I said. You need to coordinate with your service so that you're not screwing yourself out of vacation time and I have mental health days and I have some respite from this, you know, arduous, long, dreadful journey. Okay. And then if you do all of that, you'll turn the tables and you'll flip it to where you're excited about matching because your confidence is going to go up. Every interview you're going to do, you're going to get better. And the last thing I guess I forgot to mention was mock interviews. You need to do a mock interview. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. One piece of advice I got my mock interviews was no beard. Shave your beard. Maybe someone's going to be racist against Arabs and they're not going to want to take you because of your beard. So I did that. Did it make a difference? I don't know. But I got that advice from a senior radiologist at a very prestigious institution who had experience and who told me she knows other people who didn't match the first time and then matched later. Okay. So how did I get that piece of advice? Because I reached out. Get on it. You cannot soap a second time. You cannot soap a second time.